Good morning. It's a beautiful Thursday morning and we're back once again with a fresh edition of Breakfast News. You're watching DD India. I'm Preeti. With me is Rukma. And in the next 1 hour, we'll get you everything that's making it to the headlines. We'll get you national headlines. We'll get you international updates. We'll get you sports updates, a web review as well, and a health tip to make sure that you remain in good spirits and in good health. When we talk of the updates, we'll get you the national headlines. Added to that, we'll also let you how other countries in the world are bracing up and have pulled up their socks in view of the new strain, the mutant strain which has of COVID-19, which has been found in Britain. With regard to that, how other countries and other nations are getting more careful. Now we'll get you updates on that as well and lots more. Stay with us for the next 1 hour. We will get you everything to make sure your coffee or tea right in the morning tastes even better.
Well, as Preeti said, a very warm welcome to all our viewers from me as well. And over the next 1 hour, we'll be bringing you all the top stories making headlines across India and the world. We'll be taking a look at the Prime Minister's interaction today with students of Vishwa Bharati University. That is to happen at around 11 a.m. Also, we'll be taking a look at the latest developments in the farmer issue. And lots of news on the weather front as North India braces for one of its chilliest winters yet. All that and more in the hour ahead. But first, here are the headlines.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address the centenary celebrations of Vishwa Bharati University today. West Bengal Governor and Union Education Minister to be present on the occasion.
Various farmer organizations express support for new farm laws. Handover letter of support signed by over 3,13,000 farmers to Union Agriculture Minister.
Government gives nod to 59,000 crore rupees post-metric scholarship scheme for scheduled caste students. Also extends law protecting those living in unauthorized colonies of Delhi by another 3 years.
Central government approves merger of 4 film media units with National Film Development Corporation of India. Film fraternity and industry organizations welcome government's decision.
Temperatures likely to drop today after Northwest India witnesses brief relief. Air Quality Commission directs strict enforcement of dust control measures to curb air pollution.
India's active caseload continues to retreat with daily recoveries exceeding daily new cases. Many states ensure additional vigilance in view of new coronavirus strain. In Britain, over 40 countries ban travel from the UK.
Pfizer US strike $2 billion COVID-19 vaccine deal, while Canada approves Moderna vaccine. Britain approves use of COVID-19 self-test kit.
Country celebrates National Consumer Rights Day, also remembers iconic singer Mohammed Rafi on his birth anniversary. Besides, preparations on in full swing on the eve of Christmas Day.
All right, those were the top stories we're tracking this hour. Up next, we'll get to the details of the national headlines first.
Right, and as we were telling you, we start off with news about how Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the centenary celebrations of the Vishwa Bharati University today at 11 a.m. via video conferencing. The Governor of West Bengal and Union Education Minister will also be present on the occasion. Founded by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore in 1921, Vishwa Bharati is also the oldest central university in the country. In May 1951, Vishwa Bharati was declared a central university and an institution of national importance by an Act of Parliament. The university followed the pedagogy devised by Gurudev Tagore, though gradually it evolved in the format in which modern universities developed elsewhere. The Prime Minister is the Chancellor of the university. And now correspondent Rajiv Bhattacharya joining us from Kolkata for more news, more details about this event.
All right, Rajiv, when we talk of the Prime Minister addressing the centenary celebrations of Vishwa Bharati University, we've told our viewers how important this university is. You spell out more details of the program also ahead. Let us know the details of the celebrations.
Right. Actually, I am in Vishwa Bharati right now. Vishwa Bharati Shanti Niketan, from where I'm talking to you. And right behind me, if you can see, is the program where the program this morning is going to be held. Students and teachers and the faculty and the Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor and everyone else is going to be present on this occasion, which is a momentous occasion as far as this institution of learning is concerned. It is also a remembrance of the ideas and the thoughts of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, who had envisioned a place where it was summed up in the motto of the university, which actually means that where the whole world comes and builds a nest. Gurudev Tagore wanted the best talents from across the world to come to India and become a part of this campus and become one of its own. And in a way, it also talks about the ancient Indian tradition of Vasudhaivam Kutumbakam, which means actually the whole world is one family. And therefore, this university signifies that in a nutshell. And for a university like that to have stepped into its 100th year is indeed a momentous occasion.
Right, Rajiv, also the Prime Minister addressing the students at a time when the entire country with the rest of the world is fighting the COVID pandemic. How did this particular university, how is it coping with the new changes? What are the precautions that have been put in place? Also, the new normal as the university is experiencing it.
Right, obviously. COVID has affected celebrations in a large number of ways. One could have easily expected the Chancellor of the university to have been present physically on an occasion like this on a centenary. But due to the new normal, as you say, people have to be away physically for a while, and that's why.
Right, Rajiv, well, there seems to be a problem with the connection there. We are not being able to hear you properly. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us there. You keep your eyes on that story. We'll be back with you throughout the day for more.
So that was our correspondent Rajiv joining us and telling us more about the program ahead. As we tell you that Prime Minister will be inaugurating the centenary celebration of Vishwa Bharati University. We'll keep you updated. Let's get you more on the other news which we are following. Let's get you an update on the farmers' protest, the farmers' issues. Various farmers' organizations expressed support for the farm reforms laws. They met Agriculture Minister and handed over a letter of support signed by about 3,13,000 farmers. Agriculture Minister reiterated the government's commitment to solving every problem faced by the farmers. National Farmers' Day is also observed across the country on 23rd December, and it also marks the birth anniversary of former Prime Minister Chaudhry Charan Singh. Also, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh hoped that farmers will withdraw their agitation soon. We get you all this and more in this report ahead.
Farmers who are protesting for their demands on different borders of the capital Delhi continues. At the same time, many farmer organizations have also come out in support of the new agricultural laws. A delegation of farmers in favor of the new farm reform laws met the Agriculture Minister on Wednesday. Under the banner of CNRI, they handed over the letters of support signed by more than 3 lakh farmers. After meeting the farmers, the Agriculture Minister said that these laws have been drafted after several rounds of discussion and the farmers and various organizations across the country are supporting it.
सभी विद्वानों के मतानुसार भी ये कृषि सुधार कानून लाए गए हैं। आज देश में देश का अधिकांश भाग कानूनों का समर्थन कर रहा है। मैं पूरी तरह आशावान हूं कि हमारे किसान यूनियंस चर्चा करेंगे। भारत सरकार पूरी तरह वार्ता के लिए उनके साथ तैयार है और मुझे पूरी आशा है कि जल्दी ही वो विचार करके निर्णय करके हम तक इसकी सूचना देंगे और हम तत्परता से उनसे वार्ता करेंगे और मुझे आशा है कि हम लोग समाधान की ओर अग्रसर होंगे.
In the meeting with the Agriculture Minister, the farmers said that the farmers' law is in interest of agriculture. The farmers said that the new laws are in the interest of agriculture and should not be withdrawn.
पूरा एक बार इसको सभी को समझना चाहिए, पढ़ना चाहिए और उसमें जहाँ तक हमारी संभावना है वो लाभ की है संभावना. किसानों के लिए लाभ का है ये कानून.
नहीं, हमें लगता है कि जो अभी कानून बन रहा है उसमें फायदा ज़्यादा होगा और मंडियाँ तो बंद नहीं होने वाली है.
सरकार जो कह रही है वो सही है, मंडियों में सुधार होना चाहिए.
National Farmers Day was celebrated on Wednesday to mark the birth anniversary of Chaudhry Charan Singh, the 5th Prime Minister of India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi remembered former Prime Minister on his birth anniversary. He tweeted and said, "Humble tributes to the former Prime Minister Chaudhry Charan Singh Ji on his birth anniversary. He remained devoted to the development of villages and farmers throughout his life, for which he will always be remembered." Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh also said in a tweet, Chaudhry Charan Singh wanted that the income of farmers of the country should increase, their crops should get remunerative prices, and the honor of farmers should be protected. With this as inspiration, many steps are being taken in the interest of farmers under the leadership of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Some farmers are agitated about the agricultural laws. The government is talking to them with full sensitivity. I hope that they will withdraw their movement soon. UP CM Yogi Adityanath garlanded the statue of former Prime Minister on the occasion of Farmers' Day, paying tributes to him. Meanwhile, on the occasion of the Good Governance Day on 25th December, 9 crore farmers will be given 18,000 crore directly in their account under the Prime Minister Kisan Samman Nidhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be the chief guest at this event and will interact with farmers.
9 करोड़ किसानों को 18,000 करोड़ रुपया एक बटन दबाकर 2 घंटे के भीतर 9 करोड़ किसानों को उनके अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर किया जाएगा. इस कार्यक्रम में मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी रहेंगे.
In midst of all this, demonstrations by farmers continued on the borders of Delhi. Farmers are adamant on their demand to repeal all 3 laws. The people of Noida and Ghaziabad are facing a lot of difficulties due to this agitation. With inputs from Ajay Vikram Singh in Delhi and Lucknow Bureau, DD India.
In a major transformatory push for education of scheduled caste students, the government has approved 59,000 crore rupees post-metric scholarship for over 4 crore students in the next 5 years. The scheme allows them to pursue any post-metric course starting from class 11. The central government will spend 60% of the program, while the rest will be provided by the state government. The central government is committed to give a big push and further impetus to this effort so that the higher education of SC students will reach up to the national standards.
Reinforcing its commitment to reform and the minimum government, maximum governance, the Modi government has taken a mega transformative decision for the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. The Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, approved the merger of 5 film media units by rationalizing infrastructure, manpower and other resources. The Memorandum of Articles of Association of NFDC have been expanded to include the 4 media units: Films Division, Directorate of Film Festivals, National Film Archives of India and Children's Film Society. NFDC will now do the work hitherto done by them separately as one unit.
सभी जो काम चल रहे हैं, यानी जो फिल्म्स डिवीजन काम कर रही है, जो चिल्ड्रन फिल्म सोसाइटी काम कर रही है, जो डायरेक्टर फिल्म फेस्टिवल काम कर रहा है, जो NFI काम कर रहा है, वो सारे काम चलते रहेंगे, वो नहीं बंद होंगे. संस्था जो अलग अलग थी उसके जगह एक संस्था होगी.
The merger of film units under one corporation will lead to uniformity in functions and better coordination. It will also ensure efficiency. Industry has welcomed the decision. CII tweeted, "The government's step to integrate its film sector media units into one single body is a reform in the right direction. It will not only bring synergy into the sector, but also facilitate the growth of the sunrise sector. Welcoming the cabinet decision, FICCI stated, FICCI welcomes the government's move to integrate the film sector media units into one single body. This will bring efficiency, synergy and growth to the sector. It is a reform in the right direction. The film world also welcomed the verdict. Actor Anil Kapoor tweeted, I welcome the government's decision to merge the film media units of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. These units have been the champions of the Indian film industry. Their merger would bring efficiency and unleash new creative energies. Filmmaker Madhur Bhandharkar welcomed the government's decision. This is a huge initiative taken by MIB to bring about synergy in the film sector. This enables India to harness its soft power potential within the country and globally. A huge initiative under the guidance of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and Honorable MIB Prakash Javadekar ji. Actor Kangana Ranaut too welcomed the government's decision. In a tweet, she said that convergence is the new normal in M&E sector. Narendra Modi government's decision to merge NFAI, DFF, Films Division, CFSI and NFDC is a historic step and infuse enthusiasm. Wonderful decision. We look forward to working with the umbrella organization. Film director Bonnie Kapoor also praised the decision, saying it is a welcome move for the entire entertainment world. The Producers Guild of India has also welcomed the centre's decision. Many organizations and artists all found the decision praiseworthy and a step in the right direction. The Union Cabinet has also approved the guidelines for direct-to-home services licenses in India.
आज के निर्णय से ये गाइडलाइन में बदलाव करके कॉमर्स मिनिस्ट्री जैसी ही गाइडलाइन अब यहाँ रहेगी, जो पहले बजट अनाउंसमेंट थे उसकी पूर्ति है और इस क्षेत्र को भी 100% FDI के लाया है.
The DTH sector has been brought on par with other sectors with 100% FDI. Though the Commerce Ministry had approved 100% foreign investment in the sector, the INB Ministry rules needed to be changed for the purpose. The path for its implementation has been cleared. Licenses will be given for 20 years and renewed for 10 years. CII has also welcomed this decision. With Rishi Kumar, DD India.
Cold and foggy weather conditions prevail in parts of North India. Now, as per the available data, no cold day conditions were observed over the country on Wednesday. 24 hours tendency shows slightly negative trend over the northwest India, except rising trend over Uttar Pradesh and Bihar by 1 to 3 degrees centigrade.
And the Commission of Air Quality Management in Delhi NCR and adjoining areas reviewed the deteriorating air quality situation. It has directed strict enforcement of dust control measures to curb pollution in Delhi NCR and said that strict action must be taken against violators of construction demolition waste rules and guidelines. The Commission's direction came after it reviewed dust control measures for National Capital Region, including NCT of Delhi. The body also issued statutory directions to Central Pollution Control Board and Pollution Control Boards as well as the Delhi Control Committee to constitute teams for inspection and strict enforcement of dust control measures. It also issued directions to levy environment compensation charge from violators and stoppage or prohibition of construction or demolition activities based on extent of violations. Dust emanating from the construction and demolition activities continues to be a major source of air pollution throughout the year. Such activities generate significant amounts of dust, adversely impacting air quality by raising PM 2.5 and PM 10 levels.
India's active caseload continues to retreat with daily recoveries exceeding the daily new cases. Let's take a look at the COVID situation across some of the states. Tamil Nadu continues to show stable COVID-19 numbers with daily positivity rates staying below 1200 mark. A total of 1,066 persons tested positive for the disease across the state yesterday. 12 deaths were reported while 1,131 patients were discharged in the last 24 hours. In the national capital, Delhi, 871 new cases of the infection were reported yesterday. 1,585 patients were cured and discharged, while 18 patients died in the past 24 hours. Currently, there are 8,003 active cases in Delhi.
And now moving on to news about elections, the results of the recently concluded District Development Council polls in Jammu and Kashmir reflect the people's hope and their readiness to embrace the journey of development in the Union Territory. The BJP has emerged as the largest party, garnering more votes than the National Conference, the PDP and the Congress. While the People's Alliance for Gupkar Declaration won 110 seats, the BJP emerged as the single largest party in the polls, acquiring 75 seats and securing the largest vote share. It was the first election after Jammu and Kashmir's special status under Article 370 was revoked last year. The polling took place in 8 phases starting November 28th and concluding on the 19th of December. A total of 2,178 candidates, including over 450 women, were in the fray for the 280 seats.
Noting that the BJP has emerged as the single largest party in the maiden DDC polls in Jammu and Kashmir, BJP President JP Nadda said that the people of the Union Territory have expressed their trust in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership and decisions through their votes. In a series of tweets, the BJP President said, and I quote him, "BJP under Prime Minister Modi's leadership is committed to Jammu and Kashmir's all-round development and connecting its people with the national mainstream. By participating in such large numbers in the DDC polls, the people of Jammu and Kashmir have shown their trust in Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. Every vote in BJP's favour underscores people's faith in the ideology of development. People of Jammu and Kashmir have decided to be part of country's journey of growth." He also expressed gratitude towards those who contributed towards ensuring peaceful elections.
A National Consumer Rights Day is being observed today. This day provides an opportunity for individuals to highlight the importance of the consumer movement and the need to make every consumer more aware of his or her rights and responsibilities. On the same day in 1986, the Consumer Protection Act 1986 received the approval of the President of India and hence came into force. The Consumer Protection Act 1986 aims to protect consumers from unfair trade practices. On July 20th, 2020, the new Consumer Protection Act 2019 came into force in the country, replacing the previous enactment of 1986. The new act overhauls the administration and settlement of consumer disputes in India and provides for strict penalties, including jail terms for adulteration and misleading ads. More importantly, it now prescribes rules for the sale of goods through e-commerce. This year's theme, New Features of Consumer Protection Act 2019.
And the day also marks the birth anniversary of music industry legend Mohammed Rafi. The legendary singer was known for his versatility and the range of voice which left an indelible mark in the hearts of people. Mohammed Rafi played back for several Bollywood films. Known for his mesmerizing tracks, he recorded around 7,405 songs in all genres. Mohammed Rafi recorded his first Hindi song in the year 1945. He recorded over 1,000 Hindi songs for various Bollywood films.
बहारों फूल बरसाओ मेरा महबूब आया है मेरा महबूब आया है बहारों फूल बरसाओ मेरा महबूब आया है मेरा महबूब आया है.
And Delhi's Sundar Nursery, a 90-acre garden which has been restored after a decade of long conservation work, has bagged the UNESCO Asia Pacific Awards for Cultural Heritage Conservation this year. We take a look at this special report of DD India.
The iconic location, situated adjacent to the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Humayun's Tomb, was listed in the 100 greatest places to visit by the Time magazine in 2018, the year when it was open to public. The monuments here boast of a splendid architecture, and 6 monuments housed in the complex of Sundar Nursery have made it to the UNESCO World Heritage List.
पिछले 10-1 साल में ये सब काम हुआ है. इसमें अनगिनत कारीगर काम किए हैं, स्टोन कार्वर्स, कारपेंटर्स, मेसन्स, प्लास्टर्स, नक्काशी जो थी पुरानी, बिल्कुल वही मटेरियल यूज़ करके दोबारा किया गया है। और ये हमारे लिए बहुत गर्व की बात है, बहुत एक रिलीफ है कि यूनेस्को जैसी संस्था ने इसके ऊपर रिकग्निशन किया है, इसको रिकग्नाइज किया है कि इस एफर्ट को, और कहा है कि this is the bar for conservation in India.
The landscape harmoniously integrates an ensemble of medieval monuments like serais, tombs, gateways, with garden settings, century-old trees and water bodies. Soon after one enters, the monument of Sundar Bhuj comes into the sight. The path leading up to it is bright with rows of colourful flowers on one side and with glistening water of fountains and canals on the opposite side. Following the path, then one encounters the restored pond and a rose garden located in front of the Lakarwala Burj, whose lofty dome rises above canopy of trees. There are also 30 species of medicinal herbs and model farming zones within the park. Sundar Nursery offers tranquility along with the options of various activities.
सुंदरनगर नर्सरी पार्क जो है ये बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत मज़ा आया और इतना खुला है और इसके अंदर अलग अलग गार्डन्स, फाउंटेन्स, अलग अलग बिल्डिंग्स, गुम्मतें हैं, उससे बहुत ही अच्छा लगा.
It is a very well developed initiative by the government, I would say. And it's a mixture of tradition and modernistic art, because you know there are small little gardens, private, which look like private spaces. Everybody and especially in the era of COVID, you get a lot of peace and privacy because you have these small little garden. The landscape is such that you get privacy even when you are sitting in a public space.
Families enjoy picnics on leisurely afternoons, enjoy cuisines made from organic food in the cafeteria. Nature lovers venture into the mini forest to catch a glimpse of peacocks, and the weekly market of organic and natural products adds a vibrant shopping experience to the visitors of the urban oasis. Sundar Nursery is a serene place in the heart of Delhi that will surely win your heart. Do come here with your friends and family to enjoy nature. Take a walk in the galleries of history and catch a break from the urban routine. With cameraman Sandeep, this is Ekta from DD News.
Alright, so detailed report of how Sundar Nursery can be a quick getaway to escape the stress of daily lives, isn't it?
Right, and whether you're a tourist or a local or that's a Delhiite, do visit Sundar Nursery, especially after that report by Ekta, when we know so much more about the long hard work that has gone into the preservation of this World Heritage Site.
With that, we'll change track now. We'll get to other updates. India-Russia Annual Summit 2020 was postponed on account of COVID pandemic. The MEA has said this. The government has clarified that this year's India-Russia Summit has not taken place because of the COVID pandemic. Spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, Anurag Srivastava, in response to media reports regarding the India-Russia Annual Summit said, and I quote him, "The India-Russia Annual Summit did not take place in 2020 because of the COVID pandemic." He also stated further that it was a mutual decision between the two governments. Any imputation otherwise is false and misleading. Spreading false stories on important relationships is particularly irresponsible, he said. Soon after the MEA's reaction, the Russian ambassador in Delhi, Nikolai Kudashev, also issued a statement on such media reports and termed them far from reality. Highlighting the special and privileged partnership of India and Russia, he said that special and privileged strategic partnership between Russia and India is progressing well despite COVID-19. The Russian ambassador also stated that India and Russia are working out new dates for the summit in the near future, which was postponed due to epidemiological reasons. Staying in close touch with our Indian friends to work out new dates for the summit, postponed due to these reasons, said the statement. Kudashev also expressed hope that the summit will be held in the near future. His statement further said that we are confident that it will be held in the near future, while the Russian-Indian relations will continue the further development. The annual summit meeting between Prime Minister Modi, that is Prime Minister of India, and the President of Russian Federation is the highest institutionalized dialogue mechanism in the strategic partnership between the two countries. So far, 20 annual summit meetings have taken place alternatively in India and Russia. Prime Minister Modi visited Vladivostok from September 4th and 5th last year for the 20th India-Russia bilateral summit.
And well, it's time now for our next segment in which we take a look at stories that are making headlines across the globe, even as the world is caught up with the race for inoculation, mass inoculation and vaccination. The Moderna, Pfizer and BioNTech are hard at work in order to fulfill those demand for supplies from countries, whether it's the UK, whether it's the United States or Canada. Also, other news making headlines in across the globe. Over 40 countries have suspended travel from Britain in a bid to contain a fast-spreading new strain of coronavirus. Flights from the UK are also being suspended to territories across the world, including Spain, India and Hong Kong. India has suspended all flights until the 31st of December, with anyone arriving from Britain on transit flights to be tested.
Pfizer and BioNTech have reached a deal with the United States government to supply the US with 100 million additional doses of their COVID-19 vaccine. Under the new agreement, Pfizer will deliver an additional 70 million doses by the end of June, with 30 million to follow by the end of July, bringing the total number of doses to 200 million for a total price of about $4 billion. The deal comes after growing concern that the US government had not done enough to secure doses of one of the two authorized vaccines. Pfizer's two-dose vaccine, developed with German partner BioNTech, is being rolled out across the United States after the Shot 1 emergency use authorization earlier this month. The country has also authorized a vaccine from Moderna.
And Canada has approved Moderna Inc.'s coronavirus vaccine. On Wednesday, Canada will receive up to 168,000 doses of the vaccine by the end of this year. By the 31st of January, it should have almost 1.2 million doses from both Moderna and Pfizer. Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, has announced that it would extend a 72-hour ban on passenger flights from Britain to the 6th of January, citing a new and more infectious variant of COVID-19. Canada has recorded a total of 14,425 deaths and 5,21,509 cases of the virus so far.
UK approved using a COVID-19 self-test kit to detect asymptomatic cases. The government said that it wants to start mass testing people as part of its strategy for tracking and tracing infections, with cases spiking and as also it battles the new variant. Meanwhile, UK has also detected another new variant of COVID-19 in contacts of cases who have travelled from South Africa. UK Health Minister Matt Hancock said that mutated strain of the virus is spreading fast. The government imposed immediate restrictions on travel from South Africa, and people who returned from South Africa were being quarantined.
And again in the UK, the government will place the highest level of social restrictions in more parts of southern England as a new virus variant pushes the number of cases to a record level. New areas will be put under Tier 4 lockdown from December 26, while other areas across the country currently in lower tiers would also face tighter curbs. Meanwhile, the governments in Scotland and Northern Ireland have already announced new lockdown measures with the highest level of restrictions after Christmas. The United Kingdom reported almost 40,000 new infections as the mutated variant of the virus, with a record number of new deaths which have been the highest since April.
All right, after the segment across the globe, we now turn focus to web review. Our colleague will join in to get us...
Right. Well, Anil Thomas joining us for more details on the lockdown, on the situation caused by the new COVID-19 variant in the UK. Anil, when we talk about record numbers, what kind of numbers are we looking at? How is the UK battling this new dreaded variant?
Well, good morning, Rukma. Good morning, Preeti. There, one needs to understand there are over 70 million cases of COVID-19 world over, and why UK is in the dock for the simple reason. If you see, there are just like 275,000 cases that are genetically checked or genetically sequencing has been done or genetic sequencing has been done. Of which almost 125,000 comes from UK. So UK has been, in the forefront, especially when it comes to, tackling genetic coding and genetic sequencing. And now you see this new variant that's come there. The US CDC has put something, very much right in place. They have said that every district that is showing some of the other sequence or some of the other cases that are rising, you need to check at least 10 cases from every state like that where the numbers are rising. So purely CDC has put it in place. I think India is also going to take the same cue. Wherever you see new strains of cases coming, India is going to do a genetic sequencing there and try to find out more. So it's a step in the right direction. But we need to remember that since UK was doing more of genetic sequencing, they were the first to detect this, and now they're paying a huge price for it. But overall, if you see, the world has become pretty cautious. Not only the entire Europe is somewhere, created a tent as of which they are boycotting United Kingdom, and world over we see this trend happening. But full marks to United Kingdom. They were the ones who believed in genetic sequencing on a much larger scale. 275,000 across the world, 125,000 done in UK itself. So I would say forefront in actually detecting the new strain, but paying a huge price at the end of the day.
Right.
All right, Anil, I would also want you to spell out more details on this new strain, which is being witnessed in the United Kingdom. How is it different from the earlier waves?
Well, this particular new sequence that has been detected is much deadlier and it transmits much faster. That's the biggest worry. The transmission rate is much faster. Even if you see the cases that came in India, that's now increased to 29. But the good news, especially when it comes to this transmission being much faster, but the deadliness of this particular new strain is much lesser than the one that we've already seen. So that's the good news that one picks up from it. And vaccine companies that have produced vaccines, especially America, which has almost rolled out 1 million vaccines that have been Americans have been vaccinated. The good news that the vaccine companies, especially Pfizer and Moderna, both assuring that this particular strain can be taken care of by the vaccine that's already been injected. So that's the good news that people are hoping. Now we'll have to wait for researchers to come out with more study, especially when it comes to the effectiveness or the efficacy of this particular vaccine. But all in all, vaccine companies at this point of time assuring that this particular new strain that has been found, the new strain that is much fast when it comes to transmission, but less deadlier or less in impact purely in terms of affecting people, is the good news that one looks at. And also, when you have vaccinating companies or pharmaceutical companies assuring that strain can be checked with the vaccination that's already been injected into the bodies, right. That's something that you hope for, keeping your fingers crossed.
Also, well, Anil, the timing here, clearly remarkable, clearly unfortunate at a time when negotiations are on for Brexit. There are concerns about the economic fallout of that but clearly the government has decided to give priority to the health of its citizens, to the health of the people, and not just of the people of Britain, but the people of the entire world. But is there any assessment yet of the kind of impact this will have, the fallout on the economy, as far as Britain is concerned?
Well, Britain is paying a huge price. They are on a Brexit deadlock. They exactly don't know. Time is running out for them. They're still not able to strike a deal with the EU with regards to tariff, with regards to quotas. That's very much, that's hitting. I think they would, in all likelihood, in the next 1 week, if things don't work out, they would be exiting Brexit without a deal. So that's big trouble for them. But remember, when you purely look at numbers, Britain was the only country that believed in, genetic sequencing of this particular strain that was found. And because they went ahead and did it on a large scale, they were able to unfold this new strain and now paying a huge price. Yes, you're right, because, UK is paying a huge price purely in terms of, it was, especially tourism in many parts of the world that's getting affected. Spain was looking at huge number of UK terrorists, UK visitors to come to their country this particular Christmas season and New Year. But now almost all European countries closing their doors. It's not only Europeans, even Asian, Canada, America, all closing their doors to UK. So UK suddenly in doldrums. They exactly don't know the road ahead. But yes, in a spot of bother, but they have paid a huge price. Remember, they were the ones who got the data out. Now they are paying a price, but I think it's a blessing in disguise for the entire world, because if UK hadn't done those tests, 2,75,000 genetic tests being carried out across the world, UK did 1,25,000 of it. The numbers clearly indicating that UK did the right thing, but paying a huge price at the end of the day. I think UK has done the world, the entire world, something good, especially when it comes to this new strain that they have discovered.
Right.
But UK, unfortunately, is paying a huge price when it comes to, now, taking all the hitbacks, or now taking all the, practically being pushed on the back foot, especially, as we head into the new year.
So all precautions being taken. We'll have to see how days ahead pan out. Thank you so much, Anil, for joining us with those inputs.
So Anil Thomas giving us all those details there about the situation in the United Kingdom after that new variant, which is more easily transmitted, as he told us, than the earlier version was detected. The United Nations, meanwhile, has appealed for tens of millions of dollars to help refugees from Ethiopia's Tigray. It also called for $156 million to help tens of thousands of refugees who have fled Tigray. The UN wants a team on the ground in Ethiopia's Tigray to investigate alleged human rights violations, including a mass killing and artillery strikes on populated areas. Ethiopia's army has been fighting rebellious forces in the northern region for over 6 weeks, making access for humanitarian workers impossible. Some of the incidents of individual killings have been blamed mainly on ethnic Amharans and the Fano militia from neighboring Amhara.
In the United States, an explosion shook a downtown Baltimore office building on Wednesday. At least 10 people received injuries, 9 of them got critical. The city fire department said that it responded to an explosion and partial roof collapse at the Baltimore Gas and Electric Company building. The window washers were rescued after dangling several stories high when their scaffold partially gave way. Rescue workers treated at least 20 people on the spot. At the time of explosion, construction work was being done on the building's air handling and boiler system.
And moving on to all the news from the world of sports in Sports Track. Well, the Board of Control for Cricket in India members are all set to meet today for the 89th Annual General Meet in Ahmedabad, with quite a few important topics to be discussed. BCCI President Saurav Ganguly and Secretary Jay Shah will chair the meet and discuss about adding 2 new teams to the IPL from 2022, tax exemption for the 2021 T20 World Cup, inclusion of cricket at the Olympics, among other topics at the meeting. The AGM will also see the appointment of Rajiv Shukla as the BCCI's Vice President after being put forth as the unanimous choice. Brijesh Patel will also continue to head the IPL Governing Council. The AGM will also make appointments for the roles of Ombudsman and Ethics Officer, BCCI's representative to the ICC, Cricket Committee and Standing Committee, and the Umpires Committee.
Edison Cavani and Anthony Martial struck late goals as Manchester United claimed a scrappy 2-0 victory over Everton, set up an EFL Cup semi-final with rivals Manchester City. Cavani's stunning curling effort from 20 yards opened the scoring in the front of 2,000 fans just as the game looked set to head to penalties. With Everton chasing the game, substitute Martial added a second in the stoppage time to send Gunnar Solskjaer to one step closer to earning his first trophy as United boss. Manchester United have reached the League Cup semi-final for the 16th time, second only to Liverpool in the competition's history.
And in our next segment, Web News Review, we'll be joined by our colleague who will be telling us about all the news that's trending on the web and on social media.
To get us the web review, our correspondent and colleague Anil Thomas is joining us. Anil, let us know what all headlines have you picked up from the social media platforms?
Well, once again, good morning to you, Preeti. Good morning, Rukma there, and good morning to all the viewers of DD India there. I've picked 6 stories this morning, 4 from the newspapers, 2 from social media. It's a mix that I've got together. The first story that I picked is from the TOI, and it's an interesting story, especially when it comes to Sister Abhaya. What exactly happened in the Sister Abhaya case is that it's been in the dock for almost, this particular case of Sister Abhaya has been it been investigated for long. Finally, the priest and the nun have been sentenced to life imprisonment. This particular case happened, this particular judgment took place in the CBI Special Court in Thiruvananthapuram, where Father Thomas Couture and Sister Sefi were sentenced to life imprisonment. The court also imposed a fine of 5 lakh rupees for murder and for destruction, and 50,000 for destruction of evidence. Clearly, this particular story has been there in the people's eye for long. This particular murder took place in 1992, and it almost took 28 years for this particular story to finally get a judgment there. But clearly, there is delay, especially when it comes to justice. But finally, justice being done in this particular case of the sister's mysterious death way back in 1992 in Kerala. Moving to the next story. This story I have picked out from the Indian Express. This is an interesting story. Now COVID has hit the end of the world. When I say so, COVID has now reached Antarctica. It's reached Antarctica because the pandemic has finally reached that last continent, where it was expected that it's not going to be there, and it's finally reached there. And how it has reached there? For the simple reason, Chile had almost 58 people at 2 military bases there in Antarctica, and most of them and the people in the Navy vessel too have tested positive. So that's how the final continent, or the final place where many expected that COVID would not reach, has also reached. So one needs to understand the seriousness of this particular issue, especially when it comes to we are in this New Year celebrations, we are getting into this era of celebration. So one needs to be really careful, because even Antarctica is not being spared. So we still need to be careful till vaccination is out in the market. We still need to be careful wearing our mask and taking protections at all times. Moving to the markets, the markets have been a bit of I would say, a bull run that you're seeing in the markets. The Indian markets have rallied. This story I have picked out from Money Control. The Indian markets have been rallying, almost a bull run that you see 1% for the second consecutive day in a row. We had a blip of 1400 points that was seen on Tuesday, but after that the markets has been on Monday. After that the markets have been in pretty buoyant mood, moving upwards. Sensex rallying almost 400 points, Nifty closing about 13,600. Looking good for the market, but one needs to be careful. This is the time when generally people get tempted to enter the market, because the market is looking ripe. People are talking about profits, but one needs to be cautious, especially when it comes to approaching the markets, because almost all stocks, reality, metal, telecom, all doing well. So you would be spoiled for choice, but one needs to be careful, especially when it comes to the market, because this is the market. Now the market, you need to be careful with the market, because if you don't have right advice, if you don't understand the market, it is better to wait and watch, rather than enter the market and burn your hands if there is a blip at any point of time, like we saw on Monday, because many people were talking about suddenly the market falling out 1400 points. But the market is still in a buoyant mood, and one could expect the same, same sentiment to be followed today in the markets. You see the markets moving in the green and having a good opening, both in the Sensex as well as in the Nifty. Story number 4 from Business Today. This story is about unauthorized digital platforms, mobile apps, and quick loans. The RBI has warned people, please don't fall into traps like these, because there are many unauthorized digital lending platforms or mobile apps that are demanding excess rate of interest and additional hidden charges from borrowers. So it's first of all not accepted. Secondly, it is high-handed recovery methods that have been deployed by various mobile apps, various agencies that are there. So RBI now clearly cautioning those people, digital lending platforms on mobile apps, telling them that, asking people, please don't fall prey to these platforms, in the name of getting loans in a quick and hassle-free manner. At the end of the day, anybody who is doing or anybody is lending money to you will have some hidden agenda, and the RBI clearly cautioning, especially people, who are getting loans at much easier rates, to be cautious, because at the end of the day, there could be hidden charges and one could pay a huge price, and then there is no point crying over spilled milk. Now going to social media. Social media, this is an interesting story. Anand Mahindra always has the habit of, he's generally known for posting funny videos, but this time around he's done something interesting. He's taken on Tesla CEO, and what he said, he's challenged him. He said, you may be not able to match this. What he's done, He's known for his witty tweets, about trending topics and technology. He's commented on many things like iPhones. Then he's taken suggestions from, suggestions on Twitter on shareholding meetings when he was attending an AGM in August. But this time, it's generally very hard to miss Anand Mahindra's tweet. But this time, he's actually taken on Tesla CEO Elon Musk, but he's also offered a suggestion. What he's done, he's tagged Musk and he's tagged a small video of a fancy bullock cart in which a passenger sitting compartment looks like the rear of a Hindustan Ambassador car. And he's written to Elon Musk saying, I don't think Tesla can match the low cost of this renewable energy fuel car. Not sure of the emission levels though, but if you take methane into account. So surely he's challenging Elon Musk here, especially when it comes to bullock cart and the rear of a car being used in the right combination. But Elon Musk would have a tough time replying back to this particular tweet from Anand Mahindra, and I think he would rather look at ignoring this particular tweet rather than getting into a war of words with India's business tycoon Anand Mahindra. My final story is from Instagram. This is the Union Minister Smriti Irani. She's a working woman. And she's shared her hashtag that said "Jaan Le Lo Meri Look" on Instagram. What does that mean? Many working moms can relate to this particular story. She shared a picture recently that showed her "Jaan Le Lo Meri Look." What is a "Jaan Le Lo Meri Look"? That's an expression that she gives. And why does she give that expression? Let me first say that. Smriti Irani shared a selfie of her featuring her "Jaan Le Lo Meri Look." What does that mean? She had her brows wrinkled, wearing a face mask and a shawl. She looked annoyed in the photo. Why did she look annoyed? She revealed the reason for this look in the caption was particularly because she had to deal with online meetings and her children yelling at her. Mothers doing the balancing act and their personal lives during the pandemic will find this particular story very relatable. The BJP minister, who like a lot of people is currently working from home because of the novel coronavirus outbreak, clearly depicting her struggles with this classic picture that she's put on Instagram. So that's all I have for you today. Back to you, Rukma, back to you, Preeti, and Merry Christmas to both of you.
Yes, Anil, Merry Christmas to you too. Also, COVID has taught us a lot of lessons, and working from home and managing all the nuances together is something we all have learned, isn't it, Rukma?
Right, exactly. And wishing you Merry Christmas too. It's the eve of the big day today. And of course, even as we are celebrating amidst coronavirus times, the wishes are the same.
Yes. Up next is the health segment, a health tip we get for you every day to make sure that you remain in good health and spirits. Calcium is an important nutrient that your body needs for many basic functions. Our correspondent Kiran Bhardwaj spoke to Dr. C.S. Yadav about benefits of calcium for bone health. Take a look.
कैल्शियम एक जरूरी पोषक तत्व है जो हमारी हड्डियों को मजबूत बनाता है। हमारे स्वास्थ्य के लिए कैल्शियम की क्या उपयोगिता है, समझते हैं डॉक्टर चंद्रशेखर यादव से। डॉक्टर यादव, हमारे स्वास्थ्य और शरीर के लिए कैल्शियम का क्या महत्व है?
कैल्शियम बॉडी की हर एक सेल्स के लिए बहुत ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है, स्पेशली मसल्स, बोन्स एंड टूथ एंड और बहुत सारे ऑर्गन लाइक हार्ट, मसल एंड ब्रेन एंड इंटेस्टाइन। अगर कैल्शियम की डेफिशिएंसी हो जाती है तो यंग एज में अगर डेफिशिएंसी हो गई तो बच्चों के पैर टेढ़े पड़ जाते हैं और उनकी ग्रोथ लंबाई कम हो जाती है और डिफॉर्म बहुत ज़्यादा टेढ़े पड़ जाते हैं और भी जॉइंट भी खराब हो जाते हैं। एल्डरली एज ग्रुप में अगर डेफिशिएंसी हो जाती है कैल्शियम की तो ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस हो जाती है और ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस की वजह से फ्रैक्चर्स हो जाते हैं, स्पेशली कूल्हे का फ्रैक्चर, रीढ़ की हड्डी का फ्रैक्चर, जो कि काफ़ी इस एज में लीथल और लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग फ्रैक्चर्स होते हैं। ये अगर कैल्शियम की कमी हो जाए तो हार्ट की पंपिंग कैपेसिटी, इवन हार्ट का जो रेट है वो डिस्टर्ब हो जाता है।
ऐसे कौन
So that was Dr. C.S. Yadav telling us more about how important calcium is for our bodies. Up next, we'll take a look at the next segment, History of the Day. This is the segment wherein we get you events which made this day special in history. It's 24th of December. Take a look at the events.
It was on this day in 1524 that Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama, who had discovered a sea route around Africa to India, died in Cochin in Kerala. He had served as viceroy in India. It was on this day in 1914 that the first air raid on Britain was made in the First World War when a German airplane dropped a bomb on the grounds of a rectory in Dover. It was on this day in 1924 that playback singer Mohammad Rafi was born in Kotla, Sultan Singh in Punjab. Rafi was awarded the Padma Shri National Film Award, Best National Singer Award and Filmfare Awards, besides many other national and international honours. He is best known for his romantic and duet songs. It was on this day in 1968 that the crew of Apollo 8 entered into orbit around the moon, becoming the first humans to do so. They performed 10 lunar orbits and broadcast live TV pictures. It was on this day in 1999 that Indian Airlines flight IC-814 was hijacked en route from Tribhuvan International Airport in Kathmandu in Nepal to Indira Gandhi International Airport in Delhi by terrorists. The 150 hostages were freed on the 31st of December after India released 3 Kashmiri militants from prison. And it's time now to take a look at today's weather report and the forecast.
As per the weather report, no significant change in minimum temperature would be witnessed during next 2 days, followed with rise by 2 to 4 degrees during subsequent 2 days over northwest India. Also rise in minimum temperature by 2 to 3 degrees over some parts of west and central India during next 2 days. Cold wave to severe cold wave conditions will be witnessed at a few pockets over Punjab and at isolated pockets over Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi. Cold wave conditions at isolated pockets are also likely over the same places on 25th as well. Dense to very dense fog in the morning hours at few pockets is likely over Punjab and Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi during the next 2 days.
And ground frost conditions at isolated pockets very likely over Jammu, Kashmir, Ladakh, Gilgit-Baltistan and Muzaffarabad, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Punjab and Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi in the next 24 hours. Rain and thunder showers observed at a few places over Lakshadweep and at isolated places over Kerala and Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal. Time now for temperatures recorded in and across the country. And well, it's time to go, but before that, as always, we leave you with glimpses to wish you a great day ahead. Today we bring you the sights of an Australian reptile park where baby animals are celebrating their first ever Christmas. Take a look.
Yes, baby animals there are celebrating their Christmas, and here also we will be celebrating Christmas. Festivities are on, but remember, this is not the time to sit back and relax. Wear a mask, wear it correctly and properly, and this is the best, the most cost-effective way to keep yourself and people around you safe against COVID-19. On that note of precaution, we'll end this Breakfast News here. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Have a fabulous Christmas.